Hey, leaders. Hey.
We need to do some backstory on that. Ethan used to have a coaching bone in his body where he was like maybe going to quit his job and do coaching full time. So he started posting content, which Ethan never posts content.
Yeah, if you know me, you don't see me
gets
really on social media.
He might get like one story or post like every 2 years. At this rate.
I was trying to be an influencer. And,
you try to be influencer.
I did it for 2 months.
I don't think Ethan noticed. I don't think he did it on purpose, but he would go, "Hey, leaders, hey," and then start hit what he was like, his little nugget.
Basically saying, "Hey, I got something to tell you today,"
Yeah. Double hey.
Hey, leaders. Hey.
It was pretty, it was innocent. So, but yeah, man, did you have a good day today?
Yeah, I did, man. I did. It was a little busy, not too busy. But yeah, you had a good day. You had a busy day.
Yeah, I taught Isla how to ride a bike today. It's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Went way better. Well, we got her a new bike. And I've been trying with this other bike and it was super heavy. And we got her this new one that's super light and she picked it up in 5 minutes. It was crazy. But luckily she's been doing stuff, to it's not like she was starting from scratch,
Yeah.
but today was the first day with this bike and she just blew it away.
No training wheels.
No training wheels.
5 years old.
Epic.
That is epic.
But yeah, today we want to talk about how to have meaningful conversations or be
or have meaningful communication.
Yeah, meaningful communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's
stuff.
Whenever you're talking, you're doing it with a purpose. Not always not every conversation has to be for gain, but we're trying, even if you just want to be able to listen to somebody better, you have to be able to, there's certain skills that can help you. Some people are naturally gifted at it maybe, but even then it could go so much further. You're a great listener. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man.
Yeah, but everybody, I think you get people that want to talk to you because you're good at just letting them get their whole thought out before you jump in, which is really big.
Yeah, I've always said listening, I think, is a gift you can give people because it's not often that you experience being listened to. And so usually people open up, they kind of sense oh, man, people want to talk. People like to talk. We
favorite
all know
thing,
that.
people, I forget who says this, but people's favorite thing to talk about is themselves.
Yeah.
Just
get people talking about themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
And not in a bad way, but it's
I know.
But as a leader, it's you want them to talk. I think back to people that are influential in my life. They ask me questions all the time. And then I'll leave and be man, I didn't even ask them about they were just I feel they played a game on me. It was they didn't even let me get a chance to ask them about something about them. They were just kept pressing what's going on and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which that's really helpful, but that's them being intentional too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes with time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, what do you think, what do you think something that's helped you have or be better at having meaningful communication skills?
Something that I think, okay, so really basic, but I think powerful is just being genuinely curious about people. So really kind of looking at people through the lens of curiosity.
So being authentic about it.
Yes, exactly. And that takes a certain level of focusing on somebody else and not focusing on yourself. And maybe it's a muscle. Maybe it's a muscle you have to exercise, but I do think you'll find most people are really interesting, and people have a lot underneath to uncover. So be curious. I'd say number one, something that I've definitely honed in on over the past maybe 5-6 years. Ask good questions. I'd say that's a huge mechanic in conversations is, asking questions that aren't leading or yes, no's, closed by binary questions, more like discovery questions and exploration type questions.
Yeah.
A good example would be, what's your dream job? Or what do you want people to say about you at your funeral? Maybe don't start with those questions, but those are exploration questions, make you think questions, and you learn about people, build some trust and relationship and things like that. What do you think? What about you?
A big one for me was when I started learning about how other people receive information. Like you can only be as good of a communicator as like you can make them understand it. So it's not necessarily everything that I say. It's like how I say it, or it is partially what I say, but it's a lot of like prompts. So it's like getting the other person to like be receptive, I guess, is a better way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm so ideas oriented, I used to just like spit off ideas at work. And then I realize how stressful that is for certain people because they take it as like, oh, he wants to do this. Mm-hmm. And like, how are we going to do it? Yeah.
Yeah. They're ready to do it as soon as
and I'm like, I just need to like, I'm such an outward processor, and I need feedback. I crave it. Like, I want to know like how it lands. Like that's part of it too, is like, I'll do like an elevator pitch of the same thing to like 20 different people. And then like, cause if it's a good idea, it'll like get some traction. I feel like,
yeah, you can kind of gauge it off their response.
Yeah. And so that's, but I have to be very careful because it can make the other person be very stressed. And also they won't actually be bought into the vision if I can't like get them there in a good place or in a good way. So I asked I asked two of the girls on our team, it's like, hey, like what's important for you to know? Like what helps you like help us like move the vision forward? And they both said like, we have to know the why.
Yeah, dude.
And I get it, but it's not like a natural thing. I'm just kind of like, if somebody has an idea, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Go for it. Like, I'll just try it with them. That's just my personality though. But those people are actually like more the implementers, you know what I mean? And like, they actually can help run things on a day-to-day basis. And so they think about all these like things that could come up, Louis Giglio was talking about how like, he's like, I want to go to Mars. And then his wife's like, how are we going to get there?
Yeah.
And
that's a good example.
I'm like, man, that's definitely, me and Haley talk about that. That was like really big for us to figure out about each other. That was probably like one of the biggest discoveries we made about ourselves in the last year was like, she's like very like what's practical. And I'm like the dreamer. You know what I mean? And it's important to have both, and it can be
especially on a team, in a marriage and a team, it's applicable, pretty much everywhere.
And like one thing that was really helpful, because I remember when I was getting coached by the guy I talked about before, Brenton, we were talking about this a little bit of how like you have to like prompt the other person and like say like for me, a good thing is like, hey, this is just an idea and I just need to say it out like and then you can tell me if it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think the term is like provisional or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Something like that. This is provisional. This is an idea.
Oh, that, yeah. And so, but it helped a lot because I would tell, me and Haley are so comfortable, and I would tell her an idea, and she would just be like, partway through it, be like, no, like that sounds awful or something. And I was like, man, after a while, it's like, that kind of stings, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know, like, is it? And so then it makes you like not want to share an idea sometimes, or you know what I mean? Because you don't want to get shot down. So now it's like, I tell her like, hey, let me just get this idea out there, and then you can tell me if it's bad. The girls at work, they kind of mess with me because they're like, love it for 5 minutes, and then they'll critique it. That's like their motto.
Yeah. That makes me think of, way off the mic here, but what that makes me think of is like, so in parenting, this is definitely the case, but also in teams and organizations is the case, is like knowing when to share the information. So like, say there's a change coming, a big change.
Big one, yeah.
Yeah, big one's coming. We're going to Disney World, or we're about to get bought out by another company. You don't tell everybody. You tell this person, or you wait at a certain time to tell this person. I think that's a really important piece of communication. Okay, I wanted to ask this question. I think this would be a fun one. So what determines a good conversation? Say you just, talk to either somebody you just met, or somebody you've known for maybe a couple years, got a good friendship, relationship, what would make that a good conversation walking away from it?
Man, that's a tough one. I think, I mean, I don't know, it's easy sometimes with a stranger, like,
It's different.
because
It's different.
you can just get to know the basics like so quick.
Yeah.
And then you have like that next, and then there's like the opposite side where it's like the person you see like once every couple years, and you like pick up where you left off, like that whole thing. And that's like always just like, you're just riffing about something, you know? I don't know, that it is hard because it's like, I don't know, like you can go deep in different ways with different people. Like when me, you, Miranda, and or me, you, Haley, and Miranda.
Ethan.
Yeah. Like when we go somewhere, it's like we're having if it's once the kids are down and it's just the four of us, like we're going deep,
Yeah.
like in some capacity, just because it's so like our time's limited. But it was always like that, even pre-kids.
Yeah, I think that has to do with chemistry and like, good bond that happens too. Okay, example, you're at a bonfire with some friends that you've seen probably once a week. What will be a good conversation in that setting? Because at the end of the day, blessing the rest, leadership boils down to influence. Like conversations is something as little as a 10-minute conversation can impact somebody's life,
Yeah.
We'll make like a good one.
I think, well, I don't know. Maybe this is a little bit off topic, but it just makes me think of like a very real situation where it's like, I don't know, like I think until recently it was getting like pretty hard to have conversations because I was having to like lead and communicate so much that it felt like draining.
Yeah,
That,
you
like,
were all
and like
conversation
and
out.
it's hard. Like I don't know. It's like I'm definitely like extroverted and can keep a conversation going. Then I'd get in like a more chill setting. I'm like, I don't need this conversation to go like long. That's what it felt like.
Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're saying. So that's kind of like emotional health, there are times when like you kind of know that person might go there. You're like, they're about to share something deep and I don't really want to do that. I don't have the capacity for that. That's interesting. I definitely did not expect going there, but
Yeah.
that's
But
good to know. I think it's a good self-gauge too. It's like, ooh, I probably need a retreat. I probably need to retreat, like solitude.
Yeah.
Fill
And with
back
that,
up.
it's also being sensitive because it's like we want to be like servants to like the others. Like if there's someone who like needs to like talk or something, obviously like I'm going to like follow that prompting and like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Like I can put what I'm feeling aside or something, but just being real, it's like, yeah, sometimes like thinking about having a meaningful conversation is like draining. Like,
Okay, let's go another route because I see you as a really good like motivator. So think about another vein of like a good conversation. When you have, think of, I'll just share for you because I think it'll be a good example. You, I think, are really good at like sharing an inspirational thing or like a motivational thing. So say somebody's maybe excited about something like, or isn't so excited about something. You're really good at being like, hey, did you hear about this? Like bringing energy to a conversation with maybe a story or like sharing a quote. Like this quote really means a lot to me. It might not even be like, you probably instigated this conversation. That's kind of how I see it. Like you started it. Those are good conversations, I think, because not every day you have somebody, sharing something that just gives you energy. Like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I want to go do something right now.
yeah.
Like, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, and I think it kind of ties into what we're going to talk about in another episode. It's like avoiding burnout so that you can be effective. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
like I don't want to be so depleted I have nothing else to give. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're not leading yourself, you're not leading anybody else.
Yeah. So, and also like that whole like law of the lid concept. Like if the lid's like so low, like I can only go like as high as the lid. You know what I mean? And I can only take people part of that. You know what I mean? It's just gonna cap. And so, I mean, not that everybody's like looking to me or to you to like do stuff, but it's like we do want to be like servants. You know what I mean? Like I was saying, of like, hey, like see a need, like fill a need. You know what I mean? If you can. So I know that was a little bit off topic, but it's just kind of like where I'm at and what I'm thinking about. Like when I think about having like a meaningful conversation, it's like protecting myself to a certain degree. Like you're good at that, where like you know how to conserve. We call.
I'm a conservationist of my energy, bro.
Ethan will be like, we'd be out at Disney
World.
Pre-kids, and he's just like over there sitting, conserving like as much energy as possible.
And we'll be leaving to go back to the resort or something, the hotel, and I'm like excited.
Yeah,
you're
I know
I'm about to be chilling.
Yeah, but I think like you're better about you're not like a go. Like you'll be like, no, I'm just gonna like stay in, or like, you know, I don't know. It's
easier for me to gauge because I am more introverted than you, and I think it is actually sometimes harder for more extroverted people like you, because you kind of get a lot of energy from people, but you have a limit. So it's like you can kind of push that limit a little bit harder than me. For me, I'm just like, dude, I am not of any use to anybody. I have booked. I've already even told. I was talking to Miranda before I left. I was like, I got something every night this week, babe. I'm about to do nothing next week. I'm already conserving thinking about the next week,
which is good.
It's good. It's something I've gotten better at from the past.
That's because you've read Ruthless Elimination in a Hurry 3 times.
That helps. I have it 3 times, maybe 4. Maybe I'll go in 4.
Yeah.
I did want to bring. I don't know what we're at on time, but I think a good thing too, and it's all in the vein of what we're talking about, is like knowing about. So say you're starting the conversation with somebody at work, somebody you lead at work, or somebody I work with, somebody at church, whatever, you name it. You know, sometimes we just have stuff we want to celebrate. Be like, hey, I got some like awesome news I just want to share with you. And sometimes people don't receive that well because they think, oh, this person's looking for feedback. I'm like, no, I'm not looking for feedback. I actually just want you to celebrate, because this is awesome. And then there's other times when you're like, I just really would like you to just listen to me because I got to get this off my chest. I'm looking for like somebody to care, to listen, to care. And then there's other ones, and this is all based off a communication code tool that Giant has, where it just basically shows you like these different avenues where conversations go, but you can just be explicit and say, oh, I'm looking for collaboration here. And then you just start and you let that person know. The conversation flows how you anticipated it to flow.
Yeah. Well, and I think like, I feel like people can be like, man, people just keep critiquing what I say or they're trying to like give me feedback. I'm not really like asking,
but sometimes you will. Sometimes you want feedback.
Sometimes you do want it, but I think I understand where a lot of people don't. Like, I mean, I think most people are like, they want to like say an idea and somebody be like, man, that's great. And then there is benefit to somebody being a straight shooter where they're just like, oh, what does that mean? Like,
because you kind of miss the point. I don't actually know what you're asking.
I don't know.
I kind of like when people do that to me.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know what you're asking for.
I've come to really respect that.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, man, it's like, there ain't wasting time. Which is nice.
That is nice.
But I think one way to combat that is to say like, hey, I have this idea and I'd like to collaborate on how we can make it better.
Yeah. Form this with me.
Yeah. Well, but you're initiating it.
Yeah.
So they know that because it's like, how do you expect them to know what you're expecting without telling them? Like, they're not mind readers and they're not like, we're all like, some people can kind of gauge it, but not most people, I don't think can. Like, and they're not intentionally trying to be mean or something like that.
It's their wiring. They're wired to do this. Like, this is what they intuitively do is I give feedback or I just care. I don't actually want to give you any advice right now. I probably never will give you advice.
Yeah.
It's not my wiring.
This was really big. We started doing this at the coffee shop, especially like in the kitchen. So like they would bring something, be like, hey, like I want you to try this. And like sometimes they would be like, or I would ask them like, do you want me to collaborate, critique, or just like, care kind of deal? Like we started using those like terms and it was kind of like funny, but it actually was like helpful because there were times she would be like, the way that she would phrase it was like, hey, I just want you to try this. Like, I don't really, I know it's not there and I just want to like, I just want you to like have it. It's like, okay. And then I won't say anything. And then other times it's like, you know, do you want me to critique it or like critique and collaborate can kind of go together, but collaborate's like how to make it better. Critique's just saying what's wrong with it.
Yeah. And usually you want people to critique when you're farther down the line in implementation.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a good product. Now I want you to critique it, find the gaps. Collaborate's like, I'm like halfway there. Like, let's get this thing to the finish line.
Yeah, can you help me? But they've like done a lot of work on it.
Exactly.
And you have to be careful too, just for yourself, because if someone like other people want to like, they want to feel like they have ownership in it and it's their thing. And like, so just be sensitive to that.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, hey, like let them like, I don't know. That's the best thing. Like Donald Miller has this book, really helpful. It's called Building a Story Brand. It like how it changed the way I talked.
One. Yeah.
Like it really did. Like it shaped like, and I just like started picking up on all these like people, like the way people would talk and then movies, like how they work and stuff.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is like, you want to be the guide, not the hero.
Yes.
Like
they're
the hero of their story.
They're the hero.
Like
you're the guide.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi's the real hero in Star Wars. That's his example in the book. But Luke is the hero. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But Obi-Wan got him there and then Yoda. So it's like you want to be the guide. And that's like how, like, that's letting other people win.
That's a great way to, that's a closing remark right there. Be a guide.
Let's go.
You want to have a meaningful conversation?
Yeah,
and
be a
have
guide.
Good communication. Be a guide. Don't be the hero. For real though, that's really good.
That is good. We're going to have to, I mean, we figured that out as we didn't have that written down.
Not on here.
Come on. Yeah. All right. So on to the next one. Thank you guys for listening.
Go bless the rest.
Go bless the rest. Hey guys, I just wanted to say real quick, thank you so much for listening, subscribing, all that good stuff. Also, we wanted to know if there's any topics you want us to talk about. Please drop a comment, shoot us a message. We'd love for some ideas on some things you guys want to hear about from us. If it's, we could dive into something we've already talked about a little bit deeper, or it could be a completely new topic. So anyway, appreciate you guys. See y'all next time.